Hey everyone, Liam here and welcome to this match preview and prediction for the match between Novak Djokovic and Alexander Zverev in the semi-finals of the 2025 Australian Open. Let's get into it. Before we get into the video, as always, if you enjoyed the content on the channel, please like and subscribe. It really helps us grow the quality shot tennis community. Well, we've got an exciting matchup here ahead, obviously in the semi-finals of Australia. I'm looking forward to this one because of the fact that we haven't really seen it in a while. I mean, we did see it in 2023 at the Cincinnati Open, but realistically, they were consistently facing each other, in many tournaments throughout the years up until about 2021. So I'm excited to see Novak Djokovic against Alexander Zverev back on court. Here in Australia, they've sort of had, similar paths in terms of, their consistency and improvement of their tennis throughout. But in terms of the level of opposition which each of them have faced coming into this semi-final, I think it's night and day. I mean, Novak, obviously, in the first 2-3 rounds, you can really say that, the level of competition was there or thereabouts the same. But when you get to sort of, you start to play, Jiri Lehechka, Thomas Machac, then you're playing Carlos Alcaraz in the quarterfinals. I mean, it's incomparable to, Zverev playing Tommy Paul and Ugo Humbert. So realistically, coming into this match, Novak has definitely found the level that he needs to win the title, and the fact that he's beating Carlos Alcaraz in the fashion that he did in that quarterfinal gives me quite a bit of confidence coming into this semi-final. Let's not say, obviously, let's not discount anything that Zverev's done so far in the tournament. I mean, he's consistently improved his game throughout, and I think he's getting much closer to being mentally there to win a slam. We've seen him obviously being in a couple slam finals, being close to winning a slam at the US Open in 2020, but I think he's, his tennis and his level of mental game is actually maturing, over the last few years, especially since his ankle injury. I think that really sort of allowed him to reset himself and reset the clock and sort of get himself back into, an improvement zone, which blessings can come in disguise sometimes. I think coming into this one, of course, if you're looking on paper, who's the higher ranked player, who's got, who had the more successful season last year, who's, fresher in terms of physical aspects potentially. If we look a little bit into that issue of Djokovic's leg when he was playing against Carlos, I know there was a lot of debate online. Even John McEnroe wasn't too sure about, whether it was a very serious injury, as much of a serious injury as he made it out to be on court, etc., etc. But disregarding any of that, I would still say Zverev obviously is a very physically fit person who can really, take this match to the edge. But so was Carlos Alcaraz, and Carlos Alcaraz potentially is even, fitter than that. So realistically, coming into this one, it's hard to go against Novak. I mean, he proved me wrong against Carlos, and he played probably one of the best matches he's played here in Australia in his career. And realistically, the fact that he was changing his game up rather than, trying to, there was some long rallies, there was some grueling, points in that match against Carlos Alcaraz, but sometimes he would just take the ball out of Carlos's sight. He would just take it so early, be so attacking. And I think against Zverev, if he managed to do that on a few second serves here and there, put some doubt into his mind, it can hurt the first serve as well, and then Novak's into the game. And when it comes to, rallying against Zverev, obviously, Zverev's one of the best ralliers in the world, but you're playing against Novak Djokovic here. You're not playing against Tommy Paul or Ugo Humbert. You're playing against Novak Djokovic. So I think that realistically, Novak's going to get himself into the final here in Australia. I'm quite confident in that. I think Zverev can definitely make it tight. Obviously, the head-to-head is 8-4. And, you don't beat Novak Djokovic 4 times by, having lucky days. You beat Novak Djokovic 4 times by being a very solid player who can do these things. But Novak's beat him 8 times. And realistically, most of the times that Zverev has beaten Novak have been in indoor hard courts in fast conditions. Here in Australia, although it is a hard court, the conditions might be a little bit slower than an indoor hard court. So it allows a little bit more rallying than you might be used to. I expect it to be, not a breeze for Novak. I don't think it's going to be a 3-set match or like, a Sinner versus Diminor type of match. but I don't think it's going to even be, a 5-set match. I think it's probably going to be in the middle. I think it's going to be a 4-set match. Zverev can definitely serve his way through a set to get himself into a tiebreak and realistically, win a tiebreak potentially to get himself a set under his belt. But I think Novak at the end of the day is not going to make this go too long because I think he knows that at his age, every sort of saving of time that you can make on court helps you in the long run, especially if he's going for 25 in 25. So I'm looking forward to this match, and I think Novak Djokovic gets it done, gets himself into the final, and does it in 4 sets.